Hi, I'm Yusuko, geologist. Let's walk the Cove Lake Trail together. Here on the trail, we're at the base of the Santa Rosa Mountains. The Santa Rosa Mountains are strongly defined by the San Jacinto Fault block zone, where they're uplifted in huge monolithic blocks. Here you can see the huge blocks being uplifted during the late Cenozoic period, roughly 66 million years ago. Here's also a great view of alluvial fans that dominate the lower slopes of the Santa Rosa Mountains. But the dark colorings of deep time are evident all along the sides of the mountains, known as desert varnish. Here's some really great examples of desert varnish. Desert varnish occurs where there are significant differences in day and night temperature. Rocks rich in minerals of manganese and iron, coupled with bacteria and hydration from nighttime moisture in the air, leaches out minuscule amounts of minerals from the rock surface. During the daytime, the moisture evaporates, redepositing the mineral as a surface stain. Over time, the minerals accumulate and the rock surface gradually darkens. It can take centuries for well-developed desert varnish to form, mainly on upland surfaces and the sides of mountains that are not subjected to disturbance. Here we are at the midway point of the trail, and here you'll notice several holes in the side of the hills. You might be wondering what kind of animal could have created them. Could it have been snakes, bats, maybe even bears? Turns out it was no animal at all, but water. When it rains, water in the desert becomes a major agent of erosion, carving pathways into the walls of the valley. This eats away the sand around the rocks and boulders until they eventually tumble down, leaving a network of holes. Small animals like chihuahuas or rock wrens will utilize these holes as shelter during the hotter parts of the day. Once upon a time, we would have been standing on the shores of a large prehistoric lake called Lake Leconte. For millions of years, the Colorado River was the source of water for the lake. But over time, earthquakes and subsequent large fault movements created a natural barrier that shut off the river's flow. At its peak, the freshwater lake covered over 2,000 square miles to a depth of more than 300 feet at its deepest points. After the river was shut off from the lake, it would periodically dry up and refill when floods broke through the thick accumulation of sediment built up from the river's silt deposits from the muddy waters of the Colorado River, forming ancient Lake Cahuilla. From this viewpoint, we can see the shores of the Salton Sea, formed in essentially the same manner as the ancient lake. The mountains are a great reminder of the geological power needed to uplift gigantic fault blocks generated from the movement of the Pacific and the North American plate grinding past one another. Minor faults that are associated along with the infamous San Andreas faults essentially divide the Coachella Valley, and depending on the nature and magnitude of the fault movement that it created each block has its own distinct landscape evolution, creating pockets of unique biodiversity like this one along the Cove to Lake Trail. Thanks for joining me on this trail, and I love being able to share some unique desert geology with you. I hope you get to go out and experience this awesomeness for yourself. Bye!